Oh no, what did we do this week?
Mm.
We've been losing sleep, but we're excited at the same time. Let's talk about some travel today.
Well, good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a great Sunday. We're having a pretty rainy one here. In the last little hour, the sun came out, and the rain finally stopped. So
It's been about 10 days of cloud and rain here. It's
rain.
almost like living in Vancouver, what I understand.
Yeah.
Winters in Vancouver we've got for the last week and a bit.
Yeah. It's amazing how my mood just suddenly brightened in the last hour or so when we saw some sunshine for the first time in a while.
Mm-hmm. So a big week, not only for us booking travel, but a big week for our neighbors across the pond. The coronation. I'm not sure how many of you saw the coronation on Saturday morning and got up at 4 o'clock our time.
Right.
Yes. God save the king. But yeah, what a special thing that is. You don't, especially in our lifetime with Queen Elizabeth being around for so long, that yeah, we weren't around when the last coronation was.
No, we're not quite that old yet.
No. Oh, so that triggered a little bit of a theme this week. Was that in combination with some cruises we booked, and also just watching that kind of brings back the memories of traveling and how much it means to you, and just watching London and how they're reacting in places we've been. It just kind of makes you realize why you travel.
For sure.
Yeah, and I pulled this shirt out today for a certain reason.
Oh.
You probably don't even know.
No, I don't know.
Don't even know.
No idea.
Don't know the last time I wore this shirt?
No. Sorry, guys.
I wore this shirt in London, walking by Buckingham Palace and touring Windsor Castle. This was the shirt I had that day. If you go back and watch the vlogs, this is the shirt, yes.
You should have told me. I could have pulled out the dress I was wearing. I'm wearing the same colors, just a different one.
Yes.
I didn't realize he had a plan.
And
you don't normally think your outfits through like that, so I'm a little surprised.
See, I put more thoughts into my outfits than she does hers.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, there's no ride tonight. It's tea time tonight.
Tea.
Again, to tie into the theme of something to do with cruising and something to do with Saturday morning. So you don't have tea.
No, I pretend tea. No, I just have water, actually.
Mrs. Canuck does not drink tea.
Not willingly. No. I drink Long Island iced tea. Does that make us? Does that work?
No.
No? Okay.
And unfortunately, I don't have any wine gums. Otherwise, I'd be eating wine gums as we're doing this as well. But yes. So yeah, what a weekend. What a week gone by. We went from literally 2 weeks ago doing a live saying we're going to book last minute. We've only got like one thing booked. And now we've got 50 some odd days of cruising booked now for 2023.
Yes. For sure.
Yeah. So, and we put out a post yesterday about this live on our Facebook group. We kind of asked the question, why does everybody travel? And it was really amazing to hear everybody's personal stories, and everybody's take on what travel is actually different, which is really fascinating. I never really thought about it. I put the post out thinking about cruising and seeing the world, but then it kind of hit home when I read everyone else's examples of travel.
Well, and I think, people have a different idea of traveling. And a lot of that, I think, when I think of my own personal life, my own personal story, I can say that, the family that we were raised in sort of have that influence. I'm fortunate enough to come from a family where my mom and my father also both valued travel, and we traveled a lot as children. I did. So I was very fortunate, and I sort of caught that traveling bug, I would say, off of my parents, for sure.
Yeah. And for years, I would have argued that I didn't travel a lot when I was younger until I read all of your comments on Facebook and YouTube in the last, 24 hours. Because for some people, traveling is going, out camping for the weekend and going fishing. We definitely did that. Going to the cottage, at your favorite lake. We definitely did that. We may not have went to, Florida for March break, but we still traveled and saw people and places. And then as time went on, then I saw my parents travel more. They would go to Las Vegas, or the odd time we might see family in Arizona,
the Caribbean.
And then eventually all inclusives in the Caribbean. As travel industry kind of picked up, my parents kind of paved the way for me to see what travel looked like.
Yeah, I would agree with us too. I mean, my mother had a big influence with us doing our very first cruise, for sure. So yeah,
for sure. And I think that Yeah, I think travel always starts closest to home, and you start wandering out and exploring things, and then the farther you go, the farther you want to go the next time. You keep on going until all of a sudden, instead of just going an hour down the road to a country cabin, you're in Rome walking around the Colosseum, right?
Yeah.
It really gets that way, I feel. Yeah, yeah. So, and I think travel for us is a priority. So, a lot of people say, how do you travel so much? We literally spend nothing else, money on anything else in our lives,
Yeah, we try not to. I mean, we live, I would say, a very modest life on a day-to-day basis. We don't drive big, huge, fancy vehicles or have an, crazy lifestyle. But cruising is a priority, so we save our pennies to get on our next trip.
You've seen how much we eat and how much we enjoy going out for dinner and pre-dinner cocktails. We haven't gone to a restaurant in years when we were home.
Yeah, no, the only time we go to a restaurant is when we're traveling, for sure.
Yeah.
Unless it's to celebrate something at home that we've been invited to or something. But just for us to go out, we don't do that, no.
Yep. So yeah, I think traveling is a priority,
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people, there's always debate, especially when you're younger and you're trying to balance your budget. And some people, they want things, right? And we've never been a thing. We don't have. I'm not saying that we have a boat now, but for the most part, we don't have any of the toys. We just have the trips, and that's all we have. Yeah, but that's lots for us. Yeah. So we'll take questions today. We'll probably try to do a bit of a theme early in the live today, and let us know what your travel is, because we're very curious to know what everyone else has been really interesting this last day, to see everyone else's dreams and travels, and what your questions are and comments about that. And then we'll also get to a few questions. I know everybody has lots of questions about other things. Some of you might be going on cruises soon, need some tips, and we're also going to talk about us and our booking. We'll let you know some general outlines of what we're going to be cruising now that we got everything booked.
Yeah.
And why that terrified us. So
we sort of had a frenzy of it for a few days. So yeah.
Maybe we'll lead that with that real quick before we go to all the comments and see everybody today.
Oh, okay, sure.
And that is, we booked 40 some odd days of travel in the space of like 7 or 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
And after I did it, I literally had like a knot in the pit of my stomach saying, what did I just do? Like, I'm thinking about, we got to pay for this. We've got to get the time off work for this. We have to then start booking flights, hotels, start to plan it all out. And then we have to do it. We have to take the Bruno somewhere. Mm-hmm. And you start to think that traveling's not just booking something on the internet and just going. There's a lot more to it, right? And so I had this apprehension of, my goodness, that's a lot of travel in the next 6 months. We did it last year.
We did.
Last year we had a lot of momentum and motivation because we were coming off of not traveling for 2 years.
Yeah.
And we were just dying. Now we're like, wow, it's more daunting. Yeah.
More daunting.
Yeah, you lost sleep. Why did you lose sleep?
Yeah, I did lose sleep. I don't say that I lost sleep because I was worried, but I think it just sort of hit me one night after we had booked the last of a series of cruises, and it was sort of I would describe it like it was going to bed Christmas Eve as a child, and I just couldn't sleep because I was so excited and so thankful, and my head's playing through all the scenarios of, oh well, when we go here we can do this, and oh, I'll have to pack that, and we'll have to organize this. And so I realized that I need to stop thinking and go to sleep because I got to go to work in 4 hours. But I was just so excited that I lost sleep about it all.
Yeah. My credit card was sweating and I was feeling the pain alongside my credit card. Let me tell you that. I kept waiting for something to be declined when booking all the travel, because I'm thinking someone out there in credit card land that's checking all the security must think that someone has my credit card and is booking everything they can possibly book. Do you want to get your dog?
Yeah, I will. Sorry, you keep talking.
Bruno is barking. So Mrs. Kanaka is going to find him since he's dying to be on here. I think he heard his name. And Bruno's not as excited about the travel because he knows that means he's probably going to family for a big chunk of the rest of 2023 here. So we will start with the questions. Mrs. Kanaka is almost back here. And we will talk to everybody, check in with everybody, and we'll see why you travel. And we'll also answer a few other questions that I see coming in along the way. So,
all right.
And then somewhere there, we're going to pause and we'll tell you about our travel plans. Maybe midpoint of this. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you happy, Bruno?
Yeah, sorry. Thought he would be fine on a different level. Obviously, that wasn't right.
Mm-hmm. Bruno's gotten used to being on the show. Mm-hmm. Oh, this was an early one. 1:53 p.m. is our earliest comment today.
Oh, wow.
That's 5.5 hours almost. Yeah.
Time difference thing going on. Wow.
So we've got, let me scroll up on your screen so you can see the questions here, because lots of them coming in. But Angela up there.
Hi, everyone. Are you clicked on it
Yes.
for everybody to see? Hi, everyone. Money for travel includes getting to shop for new clothes and shoes. Yippee. Yeah, I think that's Mr. Kunup's biggest fear every time he books a cruise is, okay, I know how much money I spent on the cruise. Now how much money is Jill going to spend getting the suitcases packed? But
I'm pretty well going to double it then.
Double it. As if you know me at all, you know I like a bargain. So no, we haven't. But for sure that's fun though, right? Planning the outfits and doing all the shopping is enjoyable.
Carol's up next.
Hi from California, partly cloudy, 72 here today. I have a question about Holland's shampoo and conditioner and body soap. How is it? So it's Elemis products. Carol, I don't know if you've ever used that. A lot of spas, that is the products that they have, is Elemis, and it's a very high quality in my opinion. Most cruise lines I go on, I bring my own hair shampoo and conditioner. I obviously have some pretty thick frizzy hair, especially in the Caribbean, so I need a really good quality conditioner. I don't do it when I go on Holland America. I use the products that they have in the room. They are spa quality, high-end products. They do have a pretty decent amount of a perfume smell to them. I mean, for me, I like the smell. It's pleasant. But if you have a scent allergy, I'd say you would want to be cautious about that because you definitely can smell a fragrance with them. But the quality is really good. You know, when we were on the last ship, we had a bathtub and I used the body wash as bubble bath and it was just marvelous. So yeah, I really like their products that are in the bathroom. Ooh, that was a lot.
Yeah, take a breath. Did you take a breath anywhere in there? James and Kimmy Cat are here from California.
Good evening, guys.
Mm-hmm. They were kind enough not to brag about their good weather.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been so cold and miserable here, but just now it was nice. I was just outside for a little while there. It's beautiful right now.
Deborah's checking in.
Hello. Hi, Deborah.
Bruce and Tawny, North Carolina, talking a little bit about their travel.
Oh, they're going to be heading to the Outer Banks.
Outer Banks.
Oh, nice.
We have an Outer Banks in the east coast of Canada, but it's different than yours, but similar. It's I think Newfoundland. There's kind of the Outer Bank, or maybe not. Is it not Newfoundland? Yeah, maybe it's off the coast of Maine. There's the Outer Banks as well. I don't know. I remember Storm of the Century movie. That's what I'm thinking about.
Oh, that's off the coast of Maine is what you're thinking of. The perfect storm.
Yep. Colleen and Bob.
Hello from Vancouver. 5 days and 18 hours, but who's counting? Until you board for Alaska. The forecast is sunny and 26 for that day. That would be great. Wow. Good luck.
That's better than
that
here.
Would be lovely. I hope we get that when we go to Alaska for sure. Wow.
Lou Den is commenting that they like the Outer Banks too. Maybe we need to go to the Outer Banks one day.
There you
go. I think that's where they evacuate those when there's hurricanes coming.
Oh.
I'm just thinking weather. Everything's weather to me, right? And Deborah has a comment.
Me and my husband Bill just got back from the Caribbean Princess and was excited about this live chatting from Tucson, Arizona. Oh, I hope you had a great time.
Tucson. Let's try that.
Sorry. Tucson. Hope you guys had a great trip. We love that ship, except the showers. Still don't miss those showers. But
yeah, we love the Caribbean Princess. It's funny. We had company this weekend. We were talking to them about their big princess, elite princess sailors, and they like the Caribbean Princess a lot. They like the Royal Princess, the Regal Princess. They like those probably a little bit better than the new Sky Princess and the Enchanted Princess. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting because we like the Caribbean Princess a lot as well. Yeah, yeah. So not that you can go wrong with a princess, cruise. I don't know if you saw our video this week. We put out a video talking about the 5 things that we loved about Princess and 3 things we would change a little bit. The shower was definitely on the one thing we would change with the shower and the curtain.
Yeah.
But a lot of you have been watching that and commenting on it. So if you haven't seen that, then check out that one about Princess. But we're jealous when we hear people coming back from Princess cruises because we're hoping to get on one. But we'll tell you about that maybe later. Maybe that's one of the cruises we booked. And Dave is here. Asking if we're doing great.
We're doing great. Yeah.
Ontario Girl says hello, cruisers.
Hello.
Southwest Florida Bulldog.
Hi, guys.
Everybody's checking in. Tanya's there.
Hello.
I see Kelly's is there.
Sunny skies finally in our far north.
Just in the last hour or two. That's a breaking news update in Northern Ontario. Yes. Yeah.
Good evening, Brenda.
Good evening, Colleen and Bob. Do they have a question?
Yeah, question. The older we get, the more our cruising is about the ship and less about the ports. Is is it for you? So I would say yes, it is for me when we're talking Caribbean, because we've sailed a lot of the Caribbean islands and we've been to most of those ports. So, when we're booking to go on a Caribbean, for instance, a 7-day Caribbean cruise, it's not so much about where the ship goes. It's more about experiencing that ship. And so that kind of ties into what we booked this week, because we're doing some different cruises this coming up. And we booked it specifically because of the ship and not so much the itinerary. So yeah, I would agree with that. But then the other side of that coin is, if we're in Europe and we haven't seen Europe, then it's about the destinations for me, not so much the ship, because the ship is just literally a bed to sleep in every night because we're out exploring throughout the day so much.
We asked this question on Instagram or somewhere, maybe it was YouTube last week. We asked the same question. And it was interesting because half were port, half were ship, and half were, there's too many halves, but half were both.
It was pretty divided. It really was.
Yeah. And I don't know, I've changed over the years. I love ship days. Port days were kind of like, I get off, I'll do whatever and get back on my ship because that's what I like to be, is my home base. After I did Europe, I feel that changed. I was like, wow. I loved getting off the ship, each time. And when I was on the ship, I felt like I was missing something. I wanted to be on land to see something else. So,
yeah, true.
But I think it's different for everybody. It might even change through your cruising career. Be different in different parts of the world.
For sure.
Yeah. So if you're going to Hawaii, you better like ship days.
Yeah.
Or otherwise cruise from
Transatlantic.
Yeah.
Those sort of itineraries.
And up to the top, R.A. Ekmark.
Hi, new to your vlog and really enjoying it. Well, thank you and welcome. We're happy to have you joining.
Tanya is saying good evening.
Hi, Tanya.
Oh, I think I clicked on some of these. No? North to southwest? Oh, I didn't. We're catching up. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
And Dave is saying, God save the King, Jerry wearing his crown royal. It's tea tonight.
Tea tonight. Yes. No crown royal.
Be interesting to see on our next ship if there's, any of that. We'll see, because that's in 4 weeks from today. Spoiler. And from Wisconsin, yes, we have Teresa here. And pile of stuff. It's talking about the rain.
Started arriving in Winnipeg.
Well, that's not good. Winnipeg's upstream from us, so you can just keep it there. Don't send it our way.
We don't want it back. Thanks. We've had enough days with it.
Bruce and Tanya, I believe, are commenting on travel.
Okay. For us, spending on travel rewards us with not only experiencing new places, but also meeting new people. So in short, yes, spend while you still can. Yeah, we couldn't agree more, Bruce and Tanya. It's a priority for us. And we love exploring new places. But again, the journey and meeting all the people that you meet along the way is probably, very rewarding too. That's part of the whole package.
Yeah. And the culture too, right?
Yeah.
Like you meet people from different parts of the world and they may live somewhere totally different than you and have a totally different looking life, but we're all just kind of the same. You start talking to people, they have the same dreams. They care about their family. They want to see things. They, they work hard and expect something for that time. And it's amazing how it doesn't matter where you are in the world, how you look, where you live, you kind of get closer to other people in the world. Yeah. If that makes any sense. And San Antonio, Texas is represented here.
Good evening, Lauren.
And Big J 33.
We travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us. Ooh, nice quote. Yeah, for sure.
We're getting deep now.
Yeah, I like it for sure.
That's interesting because someone made a comment on our Facebook group. I try to remember who it was, if they're on tonight or not. They had said that they travel to appreciate home, which I thought was really interesting. That was kind of a funny spin, right?
Well, although, after you're gone a certain time, it is good to come home. I'm mainly just to sleep in your own bed. I think I feel like that often. Happy to get back into my own bed after being on an adventure. But yes, I love that quote though.
Yeah, and it's interesting. When we were in Europe, we did 35 days away from home. We were kind of 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, and even though we had a wonderful time on the Epic at the very end, we loved the Epic. We still had this feeling of next time we do a long cruise like this, we're going to try to keep it around 3 weeks. It's kind of what our comfort zone was right now, at least while we were working and have animals at home and children that are growing up, that type of thing. It's tough to be away from home too long. And Dave is asking the same question he asks every week. He'll probably keep asking it until September.
Well, I will let you know a little something, Dave. We did book a princess ship, but it's not the Sky. So no.
Although the Sky has just recently been renovated, so you'll be on kind of some new changes to the Sky since we were on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we have a huge boat.
Yeah,
Dave
yeah.
says, yeah, and that boat is going in the water in 6 days. We have to have a crane lifted in, once a year, and then pull it out once a year, and we're finally warm enough weather. The ice is finally out of the marina that we can put the boat in the water. So yeah,
we have a lot of work to do.
Lots of work to do in the next 6 days. Yes. Angela's talking about your group cruise on February 6th.
Hate that we can't go with you guys on the group cruise. We are going on 32 night in October and 35 night in February, both in Polynesia. Wow, maybe next time. Well, that's awesome.
That's exotic.
Enjoy that. Yeah, would love to do that. That might be an itinerary we could achieve to get to one day.
And Dave says,
spoke with Dan. Oh, good. He is a nice guy.
Yeah, and Dan is a travel agent that we kind of got to know through Paul and Carol.
A British-based travel agent.
Because we were trying to work with Dan to see how we could book things on British cruises or European cruises, since sometimes being from North America, it's more complicated. And that kind of ties into our news a little bit too. Another 10 minutes, we'll get to that. Wesley has a question.
When you do a more destination-focused cruise like your trip in Europe, do you experience any frustration from not being able to spend longer in ports? Yes. The answer is yes.
Paris.
Paris definitely was not long enough. Yeah, I will say, when you do that and you go to a port for the first time, it's often just a taste. It's not, you don't feel like, okay, I've been here and I've done everything and I don't need to come back. So yes, definitely there were certain ports that were like, we need to come back here again. We want to come back here again. We weren't here long enough. So that happens with some of them. And then there's some where you're like, okay, I feel like we've done what we need to do here and I'm ready to move on to the next one. But there's definitely are certain ones, and Paris is the one that both popped into our head right away, that we didn't have enough time in Paris.
And sometimes some cruise lines do overnights in places, and that'd be nice at some of the ports that you really want to visit. And one of our upcoming cruises has an overnight, and you'll be interested to know where we're staying overnight. But don't laugh, you'll give it away. But it's a funny cruise, trust me. Yeah, but I feel the whole cruise industry is that way. I really do. We just did the Aruba, Curacao, Half Moon Cay, and we didn't get to spend enough time in any of those locations. But that's just the nature of how long it takes to get there. And then they need to move the ship the next day. It's kind of sad that to do a typical cruise with the amount of time that I want to be there, it probably needs to be twice as long and spend 2 days everywhere.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I think a lot of the ports are really interesting in the evening. We've only done a few like that, but it's really fascinating. They Cozumel in the evening, really interesting. Yeah.
Sure.
Brenda asked a question.
Do you book your own travel or use a travel agent? We just started booking our own. Always had a travel agent before. So Mr. Canuck books for us because he's a licensed travel agent. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, and so before becoming a travel agent, we had mostly always booked ourselves. We started out years ago doing all-inclusives in the Caribbean, using, you used to go to department stores and use their travel agent department in the outlet stores, or the
Sears, if you remember Sears. We'd go to Sears travel agents.
And then the internet came along. We started booking ourselves because we thought, hey, let's just book it ourselves and get the deals. And then when I became a travel agent, I realized that if you book with a travel agent, it costs the same as if you book it yourself, but you get someone working for you to help book everything and make sure everything's right. So there is some value in a travel agent.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're going to need to find a travel agent that you can work with that isn't just kind of doing the sell on you, that really is out for your own interest. So it's hard to find, that was what impressed us about Dan when Dave was talking about. Dan was, you could tell he was working and doing everything for you, that, if you don't want to book something or do something, he wasn't doing the hard sell.
That's right.
So it's hard to, a lot of times you get the reps from the specific companies that call you up and deal directly because they all have their own reps, and they do a little more of the sell and, try to do
harder sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to find a travel agent that you can work with is almost like a friend. That's gold. And if you can't do it that way, then you can book yourself. You just have to be careful how you navigate through those things and read the fine prints on a lot of things. Yeah. So that's our story. We would book it ourselves, but I book it as a travel agent. And tell you the truth, we kind of book half and half. We book some things through the public sites because it just is much easier than doing through the travel agent side of things. And some things we book I book as a travel agent. So it's kind of a combination for us now. But if I wasn't a travel agent, we'd probably be booking ourselves unless we were going somewhere more exotic, like Europe, and we need someone like Dan to help facilitate that type of trip.
Yeah.
That work?
That's right.
Yeah. Dave wants to know if you'll adopt him.
No, we have enough children, thanks. So
we finally got rid of him.
We're not looking to have any more children.
we just got rid of
We're
our
finally
children.
empty nesters.
Dawn is here from Michigan saying hello.
Hello.
Hello, Dawn.
Hi, Dawn.
Dawn was our special guest in our last episode of Suitcase Diaries
Yeah.
for her cruise to kind of Bermuda. So yeah,
Right.
check that out if you haven't with Dawn. Then we're hoping we're going to start planning, and we're in the planning stages of the next couple episodes of Suitcase Diaries.
Yeah.
We just got to get some time after getting that ship in the water that we have.
Yeah. Boat.
Boat.
Mhm.
Carol says half the fun's planning.
Yeah.
See what to do and what to eat. Yes. Yep. And it's funny because for me, the planning phase is before I put down my money.
Yeah. Well, it's true. He does a lot of research before we book a cruise, and then he books it, and then it becomes my problem. That's sort of how it goes. He doesn't plan anything past then. So then I go, and once we have a booking, and I plan what I think we should be doing in the ports of call generally, and, specialty dining if we're going to be doing that, and, organizing all the stuff that you need to get ready to get on board. But yes, Mr. Canuck does all the research as to what ships are going where and when, and what are the best deals at that time. And then from there, once he puts his credit card down, then he sort of relaxes and I take over. That's how we sort of divide it up.
Yeah, I get us there so she can tell me what to do.
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty accurate.
Oh, Tanya says she likes to travel to see different countries.
For sure. We do too.
We've just started recently just a list. We were curious to know how many countries we've been to because we never really thought about it. So it was kind of an interesting process to go through and see how many you've been to.
Yeah.
So we're starting to get there. Yeah. And Kelly has a question for you.
Transatlantic travel, Europe to North America, help from where to where, ideas, suggestions.
Well, Europe to North America, so that is fall, and there are several options, but the main options usually start, like if I use Princess as an example, they have a ship that comes from Southampton, south of London, and comes across and catches a couple spots in Portugal, Spain, and then comes across the Atlantic. And then some of them come from Rome or Barcelona. They come through the Mediterranean, and some of them go directly to the Caribbean and do a couple of days and come back up into Florida. Some cruise lines, Norwegian has one that goes from Southampton and does a crossing and ends up in New York City. So that can be an option too. And the timing of that is everywhere from like late September to late November. Yeah. So it's a wide range of days. The farther you get towards winter, the worse the weather is in the Atlantic. So be warned of that.
Yeah, that was our issue because we were looking at that ourselves the last few months, and as he was giving me some dates of November something leaving, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know if that would be good weather then at that point.
Yeah.
November felt late to me going across, but maybe not so bad if you're leaving from Barcelona or Rome as opposed to Southampton.
My preference, if I'm coming from North America going across to Europe to start the trip, would be to choose an itinerary with European ports first that then does the crossing. Because if you're going all the way to Europe, it'd be nice to see some of Europe. So at least I wouldn't want to book one that would go there, come straight across the Caribbean and go around the Caribbean. And not, as much as that sounds nice, you get a warm holiday at the end, you really don't get to see any of Europe unless you do a land-based trip before the cruise. So, so yeah, that's a little bit of help. But yeah, transatlantic, we've never done it. So we're just running by the seat of our pants here. But,
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out also, basically.
There was a question about pricing.
Question: will travel agent be cheap? Sorry, you moved it on me.
It'll be cheaper on the Sky now the Sun Princess is launched.
Not necessarily. What would you say to that?
Well, every time a new ship comes out, it seems to impact the rest of the fleets, and a tiny bit less, but the newer ones usually not so much. Usually the older ships, right? You might see stuff like the Caribbean Princess.
Yeah, the older
Island
ones
Princess,
perhaps would you'll see more of a discount, but Sky Princess and Enchanted Princess and all of those ones are still considered pretty new. So I don't think you're going to see a discounted rate. At least we never have in our, like for instance, when Rotterdam came out, New Sandom was definitely no cheaper, right?
And Chad and Matthew Cruz are saying happy Sunday to everybody.
Hello, guys.
And Tanya has a comment right below that.
Sorry, I don't know where you are.
Oh,
so
right at the very top. Love learning about different cultures and eating local foods.
Mhm.
And then I believe Leslie has a question.
From my experience, travel doesn't open the mind as much as broadens it. Would you agree? Oh, I like that. Yeah, it broadens it.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the person's mind, right? Some people can be very close-minded, but I think for us personally, we feel like we always come back sort of enriched, and we've gained something knowledge-wise and an appreciation of our trips and journeys and people we've met.
Yeah, some people go away and they just keep asking why. Why is that different? Why do they do it that this way? Why do they it's kind of like, whereas I kind of feel we go away, it's like, wow, that's interesting they do it that way. Oh, I like the way they do that. Like we kind of, like you said, it kind of broadens our perspective, right? And
I would agree. Yeah, for sure.
Quick question before we get to talking about our cruises we've got coming up.
From Atlanta. Princess versus celebrity. So we can't comment on celebrity because we haven't done it yet. We've been looking. Their prices have just been higher than the princess. And so we have not booked them. So we can't really comment, but we hear a lot of people love them.
Yeah, we hear lots of good things about celebrity. We just haven't found the deal yet.
We're hoping to.
We had thought we'd be on celebrity in 2023, but it's probably going to get pushed back to hopefully early 24.
Yeah.
We just haven't been able to find the deal. I mean, you never know. There might be a last minute something gets squeezed in there, but
maybe.
Never know. At some point, I have to go to work.
Some point.
So we're halfway through the hour, so we can talk maybe a little bit about what we booked this week that caused us to lose sleep and caused us a little bit of, a lot of these things we've been planning literally for months and watching these cruises every week and checking prices and comparing itineraries. It's been a long process to get to this point. And for some reason, it all came together this week and we just booked everything.
We did.
Yeah. We being a very loosely used term.
Yeah. I did very little. I sat at the other end of the sofa and said, sure, go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
So we're doing a combination of, it's kind of interesting, combination of things with cruise specific ships and cruise lines. And we're doing a combination of interesting itineraries. So the first cruise we have coming up, we're going to be doing it in June.
We are.
And a lot of you may never have heard of this cruise line. And we're going to show you what it's all about because we've heard really, really good things about this cruise line. And that is a cruise line called Marella.
So it's a UK-based owned cruise line. And so it is going to be a very British experience, we believe. So we're looking forward to that. But we have quite the itinerary. So you want to explain what that is?
Yes, it is a very interesting itinerary. So it leaves at a Port Canaveral and it ends up in, first stop is Fort Lauderdale. We're going to get to see Fort Lauderdale by ship.
But we want to spend $500 a night for a hotel room
Yes,
because we'll be on the ship.
Yeah, it'll be cheaper to be on the ship because the price per night on this ship is less than the hotels in Fort Lauderdale. So we're excited about that.
We are.
Yes. And then we're going to go to Bimini. We've never been to Bimini.
Yeah, we haven't been to Bimini, so that's okay.
And you may have heard of Bimini. Some Carnival ships went there right after the cruise pause, but more recently, Virgin
goes there.
Virgin goes there. It's part of their package that they go and that's kind of like their private island in a way. And then after that, we do 2 days at sea, and we end up spending an overnight. You won't believe this, in Tampa, Florida. We'll pause there. Pause there so everybody can listen to what I just said. Tampa, Florida. We're gonna do an overnight to see everything in Tampa. Again, we've never been to Tampa on a cruise ship to do an overnight.
We have left from Tampa on a cruise ship probably 3 or 4 times.
We have visited family that are in Tampa.
We have. But anyways, we're going to do it. So obviously, when you hear that itinerary, we did not book this ship because of its destinations. We booked it because we wanted to try this particular cruise company, Marella, and we've heard wonderful things about it. And so we're looking forward to seeing what they have to offer and what the experience is with them.
So Marella is owned by a bigger company called TUI, T-U-I, which is partially owned by Royal Caribbean. The ship we're going on is an old Royal Caribbean ship. It is the old Splendor of the Seas. It was acquired in 2016 by TUI to put into the Marella fleet. It is an all-inclusive cruise experience. So you pay the fare, your tips are included, your drinks are included, everything's included. There's a couple charges for a couple restaurants, but other than that, everything's included. Excursions are not included though. So we're very interested, very British. There's where you normally find a burger bar on deck, they have fish and chips, where you'd normally have tea time at 3 in the afternoon, they have musical tea time with singers and
A full show.
over the top tea time, So yeah, we're very excited. So we're dying to show you what Morella. It just turns out that this ship is sailing out of Florida this year, and usually they're always cruises over starting and staying in Europe, specifically out of England, UK. But yeah, we managed to find this deal. I couldn't find on the regular websites you look for cruise. I kind of just got lucky and saw it in a ship was going to be in Fort Canaveral, and I was curious what it was. So
right.
Started looking into it. Booking it was a real pain, but I think we're going to do a whole nother video on how we booked this cruise, because it was not easy to book it, because you had to pay in British pounds. The currency on board the ship will be British pounds. There was a lot of complications. Even Dan, the man from United Kingdom that we were talking about, the travel agent over there, we had him kind of trying to help us, and even he was kind of a little perplexed to how it works for North Americans to cruise on this British cruise line while it's in North America.
Yeah. It was a challenge, but we did it. We're booked, and we're excited for it.
We're hoping to get on the ship. So hopefully when we get down there, they don't say, hold on, you're not British. You can't come here.
Yeah.
We did tell the truth. We told them we were from Canada. So we're going to see what happens. Yeah. Oh, so that's our first cruise we have booked. Then you know about us going to Alaska. So that's coming up sometime in July. So we're going to do Alaska for the first time, and that's going to be exciting. And then we are going in September. We told you last week we have booked an MSC. So that'll be the next one. That goes down in the Caribbean. We get to go to their private island on the seaside. So our first time in MSC, first time in Morelos. We got a couple new ships. First time Alaska. So a new destination for us.
We're trying lots of new things.
And then in the fall, in the end of October, we are going on Princess again. So we're excited, and we're going to go scout out a certain ship so we know it's good for the group cruise.
We just booked 22 days in the Mediterranean in the Enchanted Princess. And so, I mean, we weren't really trying to book the Enchanted Princess because we know that's what we're doing with the group cruise, but it was doing the itinerary that we wanted. So again, going back to the question someone asked us earlier, do you pick berth for the ship or the itinerary? This 22-day itinerary was phenomenal, and it was just sort of a deal that we couldn't pass up. So we're going to know the Enchanted Princess really well by the time we meet everybody on our group cruise. So that'll be great. We should be able to scope out all the best hangout places to be at.
Yes, we're going everywhere from Spain right across to Turkey and everything in between in the Mediterranean. So it's going to be exciting. Weather in the Mediterranean starts to turn that time of year, so we're fingers crossed that we're going to get some good weather. We'll see. We figure it's about a month behind North American weather, so that'll be, kind of end of October be like what it is in kind of the U.S., Canada in late September, so it should be okay.
In our area.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So that's what we've got booked now. And of course, the next thing we have to get booked and figured out is finally we can get to that group cruise and get that all figured out. And we've been watching prices there. Nothing's really changed. It's still pretty steady. Still cabins available. We still got people that are interested. So it's still happening February 6th. If you didn't know, on the Enchanted Princess, we're going to be able to have a ship tour come out on the ship we're going on for the group cruise.
Maybe that'll get you guys all excited.
Maybe we'll make a behind the scenes ship tour just for people coming on the group cruise.
Oh.
All the secret stuff that we can't tell the rest of the world. Yeah.
Oh.
We'll see. So yeah, we're very excited. So yeah, all those things combined, I think that comes out to this year doing, I forget the number now. I want to say it's around 50 days cruising in 2023 is how that adds all up. So yeah, again, my boss will wonder whether I work there. We'll see. You've gone quiet.
Well, I don't
it's
know
overwhelming.
What to say.
So now you see why we lost sleep. We booked all this like in a couple hours.
Yeah. Well, we had booked one
MSC.
day, and then 2 days later we booked 2 or 3 cruises.
Yeah. So.
Anyways, let's get to some questions. That's our big news.
Yeah, that's our news is where we're going. So expect to find out a lot more about that, especially in Morella in the coming weeks. We'll probably have some videos out talking a little more about the details and challenges we're having with booking it and all the exciting things that we know about it so far. And then we're going to show you what it's like. Because I think a lot of you that like Holland America and Princess and like to spend a little more money on suites or the nicer, the nicer amenities on ships, I think you're going to see a lot of that in Morella, my impression.
We'll see.
Nice big shows. We're going to see. We don't know. We're hoping it's still the same. So Sherry has a question. Sherry, right there.
Oh, there it is. Where do you find the best deals on cruises? Any particular websites? That's a question for you.
It's a question for me, and one that we get an awful lot. There's a lot of debate about this because when I say what to do, then a lot of people are like, well, I use this one instead. So I think whatever one you've used that you've had success with is not a bad one. But We literally, for years and years before I did the travel agent thing, we booked directly with the cruise line. So that was, we did our homework. We shopped out to see what other websites were, and we go back and we'd actually call back then we had a lot of Carnival cruises. We would call our Carnival rep. Remember his name?
Mario.
Mario was our rep from Carnival. And we call Mario and say, here's what we can get it for another website. What's Carnival selling it for? And he says, yep, same price here. So.
And sometimes they would be able to give us like a little onboard credit if we booked with them or something. And so that goes back to earlier questions. If you have a great travel agent like Dan does for Paul and Carol, and we also have some other friends that have had the same travel agent for 15 years or so, they sort of know when a good deal is coming up, and they'll just shoot their client an email and say, I know that you like to cruise, and this is what I have on a great deal right now if you're interested. And so a lot of people book them right through that, just sort of on the recommendations of when the travel agent sees a great deal coming across. So that's another advantage of having a good travel agent.
Yeah, and a good travel agent will also watch the prices for you. If there's a change in the price before final deposit, a lot of times they can get your price adjusted. So that's something that they do. But if you don't do that, then the reason I always want to book directly with the company is the same reason I book directly with the airline if I'm booking a flight, or a lot of times we book directly with the hotel if we're booking a hotel. We don't use the third-party sites because we find out they're all a lot easier to deal with if something goes wrong. You have a cancellation, something is not right. So that if you've booked directly with them, we find they give you better service, because a lot of times we've had them in hotels, for example, or even airlines. Say, sorry, we can't do anything for you. You've got to call the company you booked through.
Booked it through a third-party company. So that was sort of a lesson we learned years ago when we had an issue with a hotel and we booked it through, I don't even know it, I'll say Expedia or something like that.
Yeah.
And the hotel staff were great, but they said, our hands are tied because you didn't book it directly with the company.
Yeah.
And so we find that with both airlines, cruises, and hotels, we try to book directly.
Yeah, after the cruise pause, we had a lot of credits for flights and stuff like that got canceled. And I remember one of the flight credits that was with Delta. We said, Delta, we still got a credit, but we can't seem to use it for some reason on your site. And they said that's because you used a third party. You have to talk to them, and they can give you the credit. I went to the third party and said, hey, I got this credit. Can we figure out how to use it so I can book travel? They said, sorry, that you have to talk to the airline about it. I literally got the go around. So that's the problems you can kind of run into sometimes. So I know a lot of people that have their favorite site that get some what they feel like are good deals are going to kind of argue that this is a better, but we've just, we see the price differences not being a lot, so we just kind of go with the that's an extra level of comfort. We talk, one day we're going to do a video about insurance, right? You book insurance not because you expect to use it, you want that peace of mind. And so that's how we feel when we book something directly. That if we get to Delta, say we're at the airport 6 hours early and there's a flight leaving earlier that day, and we're thinking, you know what, wonder if we can get on that early flight and get home early because we're at the airport. If you book directly with Delta, they might be able to do something for you and put you on an earlier flight with no problems. But I guarantee if you book with a third party, that process gets a whole lot more complicated. So little things like that make a difference, right? Dave has a big, broad-reaching question for you.
I'm hearing places like Barcelona is stopping cruise ships from entering. Will this become a problem in other cities? Well,
what we're hearing is a lot of places that are very popular. We've seen this in Venice. We've seen it in Dubrovnik. And we've seen it in Key West in North America. And we're hearing rumors out of some ports that when you get I'm going to blame the large cruise ships, but when you get such huge cruise ships now, there used to be like 4 or 5 ships. They'd have 1,800, 2,000 people in it. And there'd be a few thousand people in the port city. Now we get cruise ships showing up that have 6,000, 7,000 people, and there's 5 of them there. A lot of times the population of the cruise ships is bigger than the population of the city they're seeing.
And the community. Yeah.
And so that's why I think we're seeing pushback now, that it should become too much for them, as much as they appreciate the business. So I think this is not a problem that's going to go away. But they are trying to manage it by restricting the number of ships or altering the times the ships are in the ports. They're doing different things that way to try to offset it. So I don't think it's going to go away. I don't think you're going to see a ban on cruise ships per se. You're just going to see, having to adapt. Or maybe if you're lucky and you're traveling with a smaller cruise ship, you might have a better chance of getting into the smaller ports.
Well, and that is the case, right? They can get in places the bigger ones can't.
Yeah. Leslie has a question.
Do you find that for cruisers, travel is more about relaxation because of the convenience cruising provides? You're moving the thing on me. I can't see.
I'm sorry.
Can you answer the question?
Oh, sure. I would say yes in a way, because compared to a land-based, vacation, for example, you've got to book your hotel. Then you've got to possibly drive there. Then you've got to figure out where you're going to eat. Then you got to book if you're going to do entertainment. What are you going to do when you're in that city? Then you might actually get in your car and drive to another city. So it's very complicated. Cruising makes that more easier, right? More relaxing.
Yeah, what I would say, before we started cruising, we used to do a lot of sort of fly in somewhere, have a rental car, go to 2 or 3 different cities and explore, and you're constantly living out of a suitcase. So the fact that getting on a cruise ship for a 7-day cruise, for instance, you're able to unpack your suitcase the first day and put away your suitcases and have everything nice and organized. I love that, as opposed to always packing and repacking and going from place to place. That's the biggest relaxation part of it for me. You don't have to worry, and obviously you don't have to worry about driving in traffic and stuff like that. So cruising does give you a different level of relaxation than if you're doing a road trip, per se.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you come to how simple and relaxing a trip is with no complications, I think maybe the easiest is an all-inclusive resort as opposed to a cruise ship.
Mm-hmm.
Go there, you unpack your stuff, you're at the same resort, you don't move, and you just go to the same bars, restaurants, and pools and beach all week long.
Sure.
Cruise is a little more complicated because you're doing different spots and ports, and you have to kind of figure out what you want to do at each one.
Sure.
Then land-based is more complicated again because you've got all those other things and you're moving your life around. So, yeah. So I think cruising's right in the middle of the, Yeah. I just had to throw this one up there because all the way from New Zealand, I'm not even sure what time it is in New Zealand right now. It's got to be probably in the morning, I'm guessing.
Wow.
Tomorrow morning. But
Hi,
anyway.
Ray and Joe.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks for watching our channel. Yeah. We'd love you to New Zealand. You just need to bring it a lot closer to Canada.
That'll be a flight.
or a long cruise.
Long cruise, maybe. Yeah.
And Jim has a comment.
Hello, kids. Is that one? I came across your channel and really enjoy your content. I worked on board the then, how do you say that?
The Sitmar, the Fairwind, and the Fair Sea.
Oh.
Back in the 80s, the 70s, and 90s.
Wow. Would love to share my experiences. Wow.
To put Jim now possibly for Suitcase Diaries. That might be kind of an interesting spin.
That would be quite a spin for sure.
So maybe Jim, reach out to us. Go cruisingcanucks.ca, our channel. And you'll find email addresses or contact information, and we'll talk a little more. Yeah.
Leslie
has apologies for you.
Has the YouTube channel made travel a more or different social experience for you? Has it also made it more interesting? Well, that's a great question. So let's see. What I'll say is before we started vlogging, we were definitely very social people on a cruise ship. It was nothing for me to go into a lounge and start talking to people in the table next to me. I'm just that type of person. If I'm sitting down next to you, I'm going to say hi and ask where you're from and go from there. So I guess that part's natural for me. But now, obviously, because people are recognizing us a little bit more when we travel, people are coming up and introducing themselves to us. And when I introduce us to them, they're like, "Oh no, we already know who you are." So that's a little bit different experience, And we did have a little bit of an issue once where somebody became too personal. So, that we got to, I don't know. How do you say that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the way it's changed for me is that I thought nothing before spending 6 hours on a deck chair listening to a good book and doing nothing. So that was the ultimate relaxation for me. Now I'll have thoughts. I'll be sitting there and I'll be listening to something. Then I'll be playing with the camera in my hand or something. Because we always got a camera with us. And I'm thinking, I see the itinerary somewhere on the phone. I'm like, I should go film that. People would probably want to see what that's like on a cruise ship. So I go out there and I try to get some footage from it. So that's changed. And I don't consider that to be a negative. I don't consider it to be work. If anything, I've experienced more on cruise ships since vlogging than ever before.
I think it's definitely become more fun for us.
Yeah.
Would you think? I think I would say that.
We're looking for new experiences. We may go on to the same port and say, let's do something different this time. Instead of doing the same thing we've always done, because we want to show different things. Yeah.
And the other thing that I think for me, I think we felt like when we started doing this channel, we had been on 20-something cruises at that point, that we sort of knew a little bit about cruising just because of the amount of time we've been on it. But we have learned so much from vlogging, and mainly because we've had so much interaction with people and they have given us their tips that they've used and advice and suggestions. And, we've learned by having such online conversations with people. So I feel like we've grown in our knowledge about cruising tenfold since we turned on a camera.
Yeah.
Because of people telling and sharing their experiences with us.
That's an interesting question, Leslie. Just because I was talking to Mrs. Canuck this week about some content and ideas for videos coming out. One of the things was going to be we've almost been a year straight of continuous content of vlogs. We've cruised enough that we've had continuous vlog series coming out for almost a year now. I thought it'd be interesting to do kind of a year in the life of a vlogger. How did it play out? What are the highlights, the lowlights? What was, how has it changed us, or has it changed us? Right? I think people might want to know what that kind of world looks like. You don't see us rushing around charging batteries and transferring files, and there's a whole world behind that world.
There is,
that you never see from this side of the camera, right?
But we've done really well at making sure that we're still having a fabulous time traveling. Yep. And when we talked about doing it and Mr. Canuck first tried to convince me to do it, I said the only way I'll do it is if I still feel like I'm having just as much fun on my vacation as we always have. And we have so far been able to achieve that, and we've been having a blast. So it's been great.
Dave is booing you.
Probably about the adoption question, maybe.
Possibly. Chad Matthews said, "Is one of your cruises?" So he asked us this before we told we were cruising, so they were guessing.
No.
We decided
maybe the year later, though, we might think about it.
Yeah, there's some interesting itineraries and some interesting people in the vlogging business doing some group cruise stuff. So yeah, that's one possibility that could be out there. And a question about tulips.
Yes, I know. Shelley, I have been looking at pictures online of that right now. And yes, it definitely is a bucket list for me. I would love to do that. Holland during the tulip season would be fabulous.
Yeah, that's one of those timing things you got to right?
A May, I believe, right? Am I correct?
Yeah. Make sure you book yourself an agent or get travel insurance. Yeah. So travel insurance, we're lucky through credit cards and work and different things that we've always had coverage in the past. So that's been an easier one for us. Angela says she loves your channel.
Thank you. Watch my husband and laugh so hard when Jerry tries to describe the outfit of the night. Yeah, I know. He usually gets the color wrong like my husband does. You're right. Often the color is wrong. Everything he says,
No, it's the lighting in the cruise ship. That's what happens.
It is, right?
It often looks different in real life than it does when I edit the film later.
No? Whatever.
No.
I don't know. I don't know why.
What
Every night I put on a dress, I have to tell him what color I have on, but it's true.
And that's not me being
No, that's not me. That's really him.
That's not me clowning around. That's me being really trying to describe it as best I can. So
at one point last year when we were vlogging, I put on a dress. We went out for dinner, and just before you turn on the camera, he's like, "Oh, you just bought another new dress for this cruise?" I said, "Well, had that one for around 6 years, so it wasn't new." So he doesn't quite see.
Lisa says, "Good evening from Colorado. Whether inside or outside the States, enjoy experiencing new things and the people. Big world out there. Crabbing, cruising, lets me see it." For sure. And our cruise life has never been how it looks now to all of you watching our channel. This is, we've put a big priority on travel ever since we couldn't travel for 2 years. It really hit home with that. We're going to do all we can with our life when we can again. So we've cruising much more than we ever have before. And so that's why, but before we started doing the vlogging piece, we would travel, for a while there we could do like one cruise a year. Then we kind of would do sometimes 2, and then we moved up to 3. So if you go back through the 16 years, it's never always been this way. So, and long before that, our family vacation many years ago, 20 years ago, we would book a hotel room in a city that's half an hour away. If it had a hot tub, so we could go sit in the hot tub and stay at the hotel room. That was our vacation. So we come from very humble roots, right? That's how we're traveling.
You work with what your budget is. And when we were young, working and paying a mortgage and trying to raise 3 children, the budget only allotted for a hotel.
A hotel and a hot tub.
One or 2 nights.
That was excitement for us,
Fortunately, we worked hard and been able to do a little bit more.
Wanda and Paul are late for the party. But they are here now. And going to the beach in Florida for May and June, doing our first NNCL. Jessica is.
Oh, nice.
So Jessica might be around when we're doing our Florida cruise.
Oh, yeah. On a different ship.
A different ship, yeah. And Tanya says an all-inclusive cruise sounds wonderful.
Yes, they are. I think it's a different atmosphere when you feel like, you don't have to worry about any expenses, right?
Yep. And Dave, see, this doesn't surprise me a lot because Dave is from across the pond and it's after midnight, almost 1 a.m. where Dave is.
Parents are doing a Marella cruise in June around Malta. That would be a nice itinerary too.
Yeah, we didn't manage to get Malta in our 22 days, unfortunately.
No.
Close, but no, we didn't get to Malta on that itinerary. Yes, but yeah, Marella does the majority of their cruising in Europe, so they're much more. In fact, when we were cruising Europe, I think it was Cove, Ireland, one day. One of the Marella ship that we're going to be on was docked in the distance. Yeah. And Tyler's saying, try to do a yacht club upgrade.
Yeah, if it's affordable, that's the question. It wasn't when we booked it. We looked at it and it wasn't affordable, but it would be really nice if they have some last minute deal and we could. We would love to.
Yeah, we'd love to try the yacht club, and hopefully when we get on MSC that, we're hoping to be able to poke our head in at least and kind of show what it looks like, but we'd really love to. But yeah, the price jump is big to the yacht club. It's not just like a couple $100 more. It's it seems like it's a double at least of the price. Yeah. But yeah, we're looking to hopefully do that one day down the road. Jim is saying that he's cruising to Alaska.
Monday the 15th. Any tips? Well, we haven't been to Alaska yet, so we can't really give you tips. I'm sure a lot of people that are online with us right now, they're more experienced with Alaska than we are. But dress in layers is what I plan on doing. I know that we were in Newfoundland in July and we did a whale watching tour. This is a few years ago. And it was nice and beautiful day on land, but we got out on that boat and it was cold. And I pulled out a pair of mitts and everybody started laughing at me. And then halfway through the thing, they were all wishing they had my mitts. So that's my advice. I will be bringing mitts and all of those sort of things just because it can get chilly on the water. So I'm sure Alaska will be the same way.
Yep. Dave says you have to join you on your group cruise to entertain us. There we go.
That'd be great.
Captain Ahab has a question for you. Says, when you say you're doing work on the cruise, is it your day job or do you post videos online? So I think if I've mentioned doing work on the cruise, it's kind of neither of those in a way. Work on the cruise for us is like making sure the cameras are ready to go for the day. Is it going to be raining? Do we need to have the waterproof stuff? Do we need to get the batteries ready? Do we have the external drives to store things in the evening ready? All that stuff is the only work we do. So we've made an effort not to do editing or any of the YouTube stuff on the ships. First of all, the internet's not great on most ships to do that.
We try to post something on Instagram at least once, if not twice a day, just so that people can see that we are on a cruise ship and we're doing something. But to actually sit down and do a lot of work, no. But just sort of backing up the footage that we have. That's like if you saw the vlog from New Amsterdam and Mr. Canuck was in our cabana with his laptop. Going, what he was doing was taking all the footage from the camera from the day before and storing it onto the laptop so that we can use the camera for the next day, that sort of thing. The
question also might refer to some of our vlogs when we were in the cabana. There was pictures of me, Mrs. Canuck said I'm doing work in the corner, right?
Yeah.
So I do some contract work for my real job, doing some weather stuff still when I'm away. So I usually have to spend if the internet's good, 15, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes max, doing some updates on the internet for some weather stuff. But that's not kind of YouTube related or anything else. And so, yeah, that's what some of the work was that you've seen in the vlogs. It could be that. That's just kind of a one and done, usually in the mornings, and it's done for the day. So.
And he's been doing that for over 20 years. Yeah. So that's not a new thing for him. He's always done that.
Yeah. James and Kitty Cat have a question for you. Can you see it there?
Yeah.
Does the itinerary on Enchanted include Mykonos, Santorini, Athens, and Sicily? Yes.
Yes, all of the above. It does go with all of those. Yeah, it's a great itinerary. It really is. Yeah.
Harry has a question for you. Why do cruise lines double charge when they book hotel rooms through them?
Wow, we've never booked a hotel room with a cruise line before, so yeah, we don't really have an experience or can talk on that. It's funny you say that. Because we had just booked the 22-day Mediterranean with Princess, I just received an email asking if I wanted to book my airfare with them. And so I was looking at that just before we came online tonight to see if that was any way more affordable than what we can do on our own. But yeah, we've never done that before, so we can't really comment on it.
Brian has a question for you.
Wife and I are taking our first cruise, a 7-night Holland America line.
From December 23rd to December 30th.
Oh, okay. I bought the Have It All package, got a cabana and prepaid tips. Did I miss or overdo anything? I think you're going to have a fabulous time with that. Then no. Yeah, that's great. That's what we did when we were
Yeah.
on it for Christmas
I'm
was
just
we
trying to
had the
think.
cabana. Yeah, you have the all package, which is lovely. When you're having the cabana there, you'll have private butler services that will go and get you anything you want, and your prepaid tips, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Lovely.
Yeah, the only thing you might have left to do, but probably it won't be a while till you get there. You got to book specialty dining if that came with your have it all. So
Right.
you've got to do that eventually.
And often one excursion comes with the have it all with Holland America too. That's happened for us a couple of times. We've booked with it, and you have to book that before you get on board too. But not until after final payment is due. Am I right with that?
Usually around 3 months out, something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And looking down here, Kelly Rome question.
Enchanted Princess Cruise. Did you say October? We lost the Regal Princess Transatlantic. Waited too long to book. Ship is almost full. Lesson learned. Thanks for your help. Oh wow.
Nothing, and I think we talked about that last week. There's nothing worse than like watching a cruise and that's a great price. We should book it. We hold off and then it's gone the next week.
And this happened to us so many times because we'll be like, oh, should we do it? Should we do it? We'll sleep on it. And then the next day when you're like, okay, let's do it. And you go, oh, it's gone. Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to see. We're running out of time, so I want to get to a couple more questions. Where's your next cruise? You can't see it on there, but yeah, it's a Morella cruise. Going to be we're circumnavigating Florida. From any port, if we miss the ship, we can just pretty well drive to the next port and
take an Uber to the next port of call. It will be an experience. We're looking forward to getting on a Morella ship, though.
Yeah. So, but I think that's it for the questions. So we'll leave it there. This week coming out in our videos, we have a video that we filmed after our last day on the Holland America ship on New Amsterdam of us just exploring Fort Lauderdale. We had a day there. We filmed Paul and Carol's live that day. So there's a few things to watch. There's like a 15-minute video that'll come out this week. Then we're going to probably do some other content, maybe talk about Princess's Sanctuary. We did a lot of footage there and talk about how that works on a princess ship. And do that type of content as we get geared up for our next adventure. That'll be Morella in 4 weeks. Yeah. So, but thanks everybody for all the questions. Fantastic discussion. And of course, the theme was travel. And yeah, if you can travel, it doesn't matter if you're going down the road like we did to a hotel for the hot tub, or if you're going across the world. It's a wonderful experience, if nothing more, to relax and kind of see something different. So, Hi, Bruno. Yes, Bruno doesn't get to travel. So thank you again, everybody. And we will be back next week again, same time, Sunday evening at 7.
We will.
And have a good week, everybody.
Yes, have a great week. Bye for now.
Take care.